Yeah, so I was pretty much just in the studio making pottery, doing occasional commissions, and so this project was a great opportunity to get me out and about doing stuff outside of the studio. At first when I was going, I was intimidated to go with geologists because I'm not in the science field myself. So I knew I would be doing drawings, like illustrations, but when I got there, I really understood like how my drawings fit in with the research and the geology aspect. I was working with more of the observational side of the work, so I would illustrate the observations from a different perspective so that I could offer other insights that wouldn't have been noticed otherwise.
Having somebody that's an artist that sketches for us do these detailed sketches with a much different eye than a geologist helps us interpret the rock too, because they're seeing something that we don't, with regards to fracture patterns, and they're picking up on these different aspects of the outcrop that we're kind of sometimes overlooking.
So when I was traveling, everything was new to me. So anything that I looked at, I could pretty much be inspired and think of a creative idea that I could bring back home and work on in the studio. Typically when you're an artist, you don't work with a lot of people unless you're doing a collab. So I had the opportunity to work with 4 other people that gave me a different perspective because they're not artists. They're not typically working with things like that. So getting to hear their stories or just talking with them over there gave me inspiration coming back. With my sculptures, the form and the techniques that I had to use were very different. Typically I work with pottery. What that means is I'm usually sitting down and I'm throwing and making a pot on the wheel. Whereas with sculpture, I'm more stagnant at the table, working on a form, trying to make it structurally sound so that it can support itself and be like load bearing. And while I'm working on that, I also have to be considerate of how I'm going to fire it, how I'm going to load it into the kiln, how I'm going to put different details into it and make them all kind of work together. I worked with a lot of new mediums for this art show. I usually only work with ceramics, but I did venture out a little bit with the 2D work and the illustrations. I use a lot of charcoal and colored pencil, which is new to me because it's a new style. You have to use different techniques to blend and make the image itself work. Another example would be the graffiti piece. That was my first graffiti styled piece. That was my first mural that I've done. I was super happy with how my art show came out. I think I did a good job of capturing the essence in my experience, as well as portraying our group together with the gnomes and the stories, the backgrounds that go with each piece. A lot of people got to see it, so that's the goal of sharing and spreading art and sharing the IRES experience. It showed our experience going as not just scientist or art student. It showed our perspective as people just experiencing a new country.